Let's just start off with something today that Christine Anderson has written on her Twitter and Facebook feed. She's nothing if not a warrior in the true sense of the word. Here she is. I'll just read it out quickly. It's official. The EU refuses to engage in dialogue with the new President Donald Trump. Yesterday, exactly one day after President Trump's inauguration, I received an official statement from the EU Foreign Affairs Committee. I was informed that it's called AFET. AFET takes note of my resolution on the 6th of November, in which I already called for top-tier talks with the new Trump administration, succinctly explaining that it had simply decided not to pursue my resolution. So in other words, they turned this excellent idea down. But we are run by planks in the EU. In fact, they're so numb, they're not just planks, they're decking. The thickest MPs, the most despised MPs in their own country, like Guy Verhofstadt and Ursula von der Koppies, you couldn't get any number. But the number seem to get richer, don't they? Here she goes. Thus, no dialogue, instead further escalation, while the false elites are currently meeting again at the WEF in Davos to console each other because their sick woke agenda is rightly going down the drain. EU corruption, President Ursula von der Leyen is threatening the US with a trade war. It's laughable. What unworldly pomposity! The EU has already shot itself in the foot with its pointless and ineffective boomerang sanctions against Russia. Now it's all about to shoot itself in the foot with this ridiculous threat about trade with the US. What I really like about Christine Anderson is she's fluent in about 3 languages, and she says all this in all of them, and she leaves no stone unturned. This woman will never give up. You know, you've seen that visual, haven't you, of it's like a heron or a stork swallowing a frog, and the frog's head's gone in, but the frog's hands are around its neck. Never give up. I always think of that when I think of Christine Anderson. The fake elites have completely lost touch with reality, where arrogance and incompetence are plunging an entire continent into chaos, where energy prices and the cost of living continue to rise, where illegal migrants have been overrunning the borders en masse for years, and entire branches of industry are leaving the EU along with their skilled workers, whilst the whole world laughs at the crazy pseudo-moral delusions of the godforsaken negative elite. Ursula von der Leyen and her WEF henchmen are not far away. I think, could that go under the subheading of telling it like it is? The question of whether all these puppets have been positioned at the levers of power by the background elites primarily because of their stupidity, their blackmail ability, or their maliciousness has long since ceased to be an issue for me. All I know is that these dangerous figures must be removed as quickly as possible. We need to replace them with a new generation of politicians who can once again see themselves for what they are, employees of the citizens, who must act exclusively in the interest of the people. You go, girl. On the 23rd of February, the federal elections will take place in Germany. It's our ultimate opportunity, I'm dying to read this out in a German accent now, to chase away the ghosts of the past and henceforth create a policy that once again stands up for the genuine interest of the citizens. Seriously though, a policy that revives freedom of expression, consistently aligns all of its actions with the highest standards of freedom, democracy and the rule of law. Sounds good enough to me, Christine. I'm sure that the change and the tailwind that is currently emerging in the USA is already blowing over to us in Europe, with help to create a new golden age in Europe and Germany too. With the kindest and best regards, yours, Christine Anderson, MEP. What a woman. I've followed her for years. I'm fortunate enough to be in a WhatsApp group with her. She's just as forthright, you'll be happy to know. And I do feel that the winds of change from the US are blowing over. Alan Miller sent me a voice clip. He's just been out there for the Together Declaration. And Alan said in his voice clip, he's on his way back. He said the difference in the atmosphere in the US is palpable. It's just oozes positivity. People have got their mojo back. People are looking forward to the next 4 years, and we cannot help but benefit from that. It's as simple as that. Meanwhile, back in the country that's run like a funeral director's, we're very sorry for your loss, where smiling seems to be off the agenda, our own Stalinist-style leader, Keir Starmer, has promised to deliver more surveillance, basically. He's going to have it running through the veins of the country, through all our technologies, with AI. So basically, you could be forgiven for thinking this pack of comedians we've had for the last 15 to 20 years are actually allowing crime to get that bad. Migrants running wild, literally. The ratio of migrant crime, especially sexual assaults, from people who have failed their asylum claims is way too high compared to other crimes in the country. It's disproportionate. Then you've got these people going around London on mopeds with machetes in backpacks. Do you remember the old days when you only saw a machete in a Tarzan film? I preferred it then, didn't you? And you've got this repeated shoplifting in designer shops where they just come in the hoodies, clearly haven't got any money to shop there, and one woman's been robbed 7 times. She's not even had a visit from the police. You could be forgiven for thinking they're allowing crime to get that bad and not policing it, so that we beg for more surveillance in order to police the crime, in which case they get to police all of us at once. That seems more like a Marxist style agenda to me, and I would say that if there's one thing that Keir Starmer is in awe of, it's Marxism, communism and other totalitarian states. I mean, he was you've only got to look at any clip from Peter Hitchens. Just Google Peter Hitchens on Keir Starmer. It's all there for you. He knew him when he was younger. I mean, obviously Peter Hitchens is a bit of a dour devil. I wouldn't invite him to a party, would you? Can you imagine? He could kill the buzz at a Tupperware party. He could. So, you've got to be careful with some of these dour characters, because they just have you not getting up in the morning. You'd just be sat up in bed thinking, why go on? There's every reason to go on, because I don't see a malicious bone in President Trump's body. He's not interested. A man like him doesn't come out and have an interview on CNN and turn round to the bimbo journalist who's coiffured in a white tailored trouser suit looking absolutely adorable, and she's trying to get him on talking about the war in Ukraine, and he just says, I want them to stop killing each other. I want them to stop killing each other. She tries to push him, who do you want to win? Who do you want to win? And he just looks at it and he just says, I want them to stop dying. I want people to stop dying. Now, a man with those morals isn't looking to do anything with the introduction of AI. He is introducing AI from a medical point of view. I'm not altogether against what he's trying to do. I think we have to understand it more. And the trouble is, because our governments have been duplicitous in what they've done over the last few years with the introduction of forced medication, we are very wary, and we're right to be wary. But we have to understand that some things can work on some issues. The point we must always challenge is the point that we the people, must have autonomy. We must be able to choose, especially where drugs are concerned. So where cancer drugs are concerned, obviously they're only pertaining to people with cancer. So they can hardly be forced on a whole nation, which is what happened to people the last time. Inept and ill-informed politicians, journalists, anchors, TV personalities, celebrities, all of them started spouting out something they knew very little about and completely misled a lot of people. That's where the bulk of your misinformation came from. It came from the respected suppliers of what should be news, the BBC, ITV, Piers Morgan, other personalities that were invited for comment to encourage you to join in with something they knew very little about. That's what we've got to watch for. President Trump wouldn't sign himself up to anything like that, ever. It's not his way. He's a businessman that's got into politics. He's not a politician. Obviously, where Elon Musk is concerned, I've always said on my blogs, Twitter's the home of free speech. It's where the news is created. I stand by that. But I've also said in the same blogs, but be careful, because whilst we're getting all this free speech, I do think Elon wants us for himself. I think Elon sees himself as a great provider of everything. And he's got the equipment to do it because he's got the satellites that can do it. We have to see how that pans out, because at the end of the day, whatever's going on and however technology gets used, it's all about the motive, isn't it? It's all about the motive. The motive of Facebook to stifle information over this last 3 years on what was really going on and the effectiveness of certain medicines that were used. When Facebook tells you, Zuckerberg tells you that he was under pressure from the Biden administration, that's not the right motive, is it? That's a bad motive. But whatever Trump is and whatever Musk is, he's transparent. He tells you what he wants. He tells you all to be wary of AI. It scares him. He said, what are you most scared of in the future? What would you be wary of? And he said in an interview, AI. So transparency means you can then decide for yourself which way you think things are going. It's not for me to tell you. I can only tell you what I see, and what I see is positivity moving along. It will take us longer because of who we've got leading us, but the more positive America gets, the more positive it makes it for people like Nigel Farage. We have to understand he's only a backbencher. He hasn't got any particular powers, but he's got the power of the media. The media listen to Farage. They're taking him seriously now. And with that comes the opportunity for him to move forward. I've got a post pinned to the top of my page on Twitter saying that people from smaller parties should band together under the brand of reform, just for now. You don't have to compromise any of your values. If you look at and it's not about manifestos anymore. Forget it. You can't compromise anything that isn't getting any traction. The ADF party in Great Britain, run by Dr. Ted Kong, is a respectable outfit that want what I want out of my life. But so does the Heritage Party. And so do all the other small parties that aren't getting any traction. So clearly there's nothing wrong with your thought process and your manifestos, but you haven't got a vehicle to project it forward. All you've got is waving your own flag, using your own ego that you won't park up to move forward on the road to nowhere. And if you're on the road to nowhere, you need a vehicle to get you off. And that vehicle is the Reform Party, whether you like them or you don't, whether you think Farage is an angel or a devil, it's completely irrelevant. You need a vehicle to push your ideas forward. If I was a member of a smaller party that was not Reform, I would dump the badge and I would stand for Reform, because I know that basically their values are my values. And the other thing, Reform aren't powerful enough as a party to whip people into a vote. The Tories get away with it because they use all sorts of incentives, blackmail being one of them. The whips are so powerful in this long-standing party that all they need to do is wait till you're stepping out the line, and then the whip will deliver you. I'm not saying they're doing it all the time, but they have the facilities to do it, and say, well, look, if you do that, we're going to bring this up about what happened with your this, that and the other. Reform can't do that because the people they're bringing forward as candidates haven't got anything to hide. The new people, they haven't been in politics, a lot of them. So I see moving forward what we need people who can park their egos, gobble up all this positivity, jockey on the back of Nigel Farage. He's just their vehicle to get you going. And then once you get elected, look at Rupert Lowe, for example. Nobody knew him. Nobody knew Rupert Lowe. But how did Rupert get his chance to shine? He got his chance to shine through Reform. So moving forward, when you see all the work that Rupert Lowe's doing and it concurs with your thought process, you can then have confidence in voting for Rupert Lowe, whoever he represents, whatever party he's labelled up as. And this is what I want the smaller parties to recognise. Take the opportunity to jockey off the back of what Nigel Farage is providing, get yourself a seat, do the work and fly your own flag after that point. It doesn't matter after that point because the the Reform Party believe in proportional representation. So if after the fact you break away from the party, or maybe you don't even find the need because you're all singing from the same hymn sheet, that's the route forward for politics. That's how you get change. Not by standing by your own party now. You're going nowhere. You're going nowhere. This is not disrespectful. It's factual. I can see it. And if you only just tweet your egos and your pride and buried it and jumped in the vehicle that'll take us out of this mess, we'd have a country that we could turn round, and it wouldn't even take 12 months.